That's a clown question, bro.
Hi, what's up on you?
So I'm gonna kick some dirt.
He gets on base.
Just a bit outside.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle.
If you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
So that's going to do it for our players to watch on each team. I'm glad we ran through these again. And now I have a few over-unders. I only wrote 3. How many do you write?
Oh, I wrote quite a few.
Okay. I'll do all of mine first. They're pretty simple.
Okay.
All right. Over-under. 200 weighted runs created plus for the league leader. The league leader. Is there someone who's double the average of the league?
I'm gonna say over. I'm thinking of one guy that might be able to do it.
Who do you think it'll be?
It coincides with my award pick.
Okay,
So
I'll
I'm
save it.
hold
All right, fair enough. The home run leader, over or under 19.5 home runs?
I'm gonna say over.
All right. And last but not least, ERA leader, over or under 1.3?
Over under 1.3. I'm gonna take the over there, which
All right.
I guess it would definitely over, which means I'm
Let's go rapid fire on these for me.
all right. So I did the pitching ones, so I also have my own ERA one as well. So the MLB league leaders in wins, just regular wins, will be over or under 7.5.
Over.
Over. The major league leader in ERA among qualified starters will be over or under 1.5.
Under.
The worst MLB ERA among qualified starters will be over or under 7.5.
Usually, I will hammer the over on that.
All right.
Yeah.
The MLB league leader in pitcher F WAR will be over or under 3.15. So you got to select. Can't be a draw.
Okay, so it's I'm gonna go under.
Under. The lowest, or some historical reference for this one. The lowest OPS against in a qualified season since 1918 is 469. Will a qualified starter get below that 469 OPS against mark?
Not in today's game.
Not in today's game. Okay. There will be over or under 0.5 individual no-hitters this year.
Ooh. I'm gonna say over. I think someone does it. It's a lot more rare nowadays, but I still think one person pulls through.
All right. The major league league leader in ERA among qualified relievers will be over or under 0.5.
I'm gonna say under. I think a reliever does it.
One thing I will note is through June 2nd last year, Emilio Pagan had a .44 ERA. So you're going with that.
He's on the Padres now.
Yeah.
Different league.
Different league. The worst MLB ERA among qualified relievers will be over or under 9.
Under.
Under. The best team in the league will have over or under 40.5 wins.
Over.
The worst team will have over or under 17.5 wins.
Under.
And my last one, the biggest division lead at season's end will be over or under 7.5 games.
I over on this one.
All right. That's probably a good prediction there.
Yeah. I don't know. When I did my standings predictions, I included records. I don't know if you did too. So I at least have evidence.
I just have the seeds.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, I'll start. We'll go in the same order. My AL Central. I have a few takes on some teams. If you want to chime in on anything, let me know.
Okay.
So I'll go from the bottom up. I have the Tigers finishing in last at 20-40. Nothing really to say there. I think that's kind of expected of them. I then have the Royals at 24-36. So that's obviously the bottom two, getting those out of the way. Team I have in third might surprise you, and I have a take. Chicago White Sox at 32-28.
That's fair.
I don't I love that lineup. Their pitching is still a few question marks to be answered. And I have a take, Chris. This year is it for Rick Renteria. He's out after 60 games this year.
Ooh, that's nice. That's a quality take.
The White Sox strike me as a team that would perform better under the trendy new managers that are younger and, are more friendly around the team. Rick Renteria, I guess I don't know the guy personally, but he's more old school. And I think the White Sox would fare better in a different state. And this is the first time, really, since I've been a diehard baseball fan, that the White Sox have had any sort of expectation. Like,
Yeah.
all I've known from the White Sox is, they're going to be basement dwellers. They're going to be like a 75-win team at best.
Yeah.
And you're not going to – they'll make a trade here and there. That'll be cool, but it won't really amount to anything. But they'll trade for Todd Frazier. Whoop-de-doo. This is the first time, and we've been on the White Sox future hype train for like 4 years, and this is the first time where it's really supposed to come to fruition. I think this year is going to be more of a learning experience. Rick Renteria is gone. They bring in a younger guy, and then 2021 I think is the year where they really start. So that is my take on the Chicago White Sox. I need to be convinced by their pitching more. Like, does Dallas Keuchel still have it at this stage of his career? Does Gio Gonzalez? He has a very similar situation. The bullpen, can we rely on Alex Colomé to be the closer? Are guys like Aaron Bummer and Evan Marshall going to be able to hold down the fort and build that bridge to Colomé? These are questions that I need answered. And I don't know that this year might exactly be it. So now, do you have anything you want to say about the White Sox?
I'll wait for my turn.
Okay. All right. So in second place, I have the Twins at 35-25. And, it is weird because in theory, they are getting better on offense. They're adding Josh Donaldson to that lineup to go along with everybody else. And like I said with the White Sox, I'm still way too concerned about that pitching. Like, it just, I think it's natural for people to believe that the Twins are due for regression just because last year almost seemed too good to be true. Like a 100-win season. Are you kidding me? Like the best, most home runs ever. And, I like the Kenta Maeda acquisition. I like the Rich Hill acquisition. I can't believe Homer Bailey is still on a roster. That blows my mind. But, Barrios, is Barrios enough to lead a staff? I really don't know if he is yet. And I don't know if he's – Barrios, from what I've seen from him so far, he has really good stuff. But is he really an ace? Can he be above, a two-starter in a good rotation? Because that's kind of what I see from him right now. I'm going to need the pitching to step it up because, don't get me wrong, that offense is ridiculous. You have, Eddie Rosario's the fifth best person in that lineup. He had an 800 OPS and 30 home runs last year. You also have Jorge Polanco, Luis Arias, Nelson Cruz, Josh Donaldson, Max Kepler, Miguel Sano, Mitch Garver even, their catcher, guys that you can't just deny. But I'm still going to have them second. And I have the Cleveland Indians winning this division. I love that rotation. I love, obviously, Clev. You have Shane Bieber, who I think is under the radar, a top 10 starter in the league. Aaron Savali was a guy who looked really good last year. Zach Plesac, same thing. Carrasco, if he can come back, that would be awesome. And you have Brad Hand closing things out in that bullpen. I think Joe Ram is going to have a comeback season this year as well. Lindor is going to do his Lindor thing like he always does. I really like the outfield with Luplo, Mercado, and Reyes. Carlos Santana did really well last year. Roberto Perez is pretty decent as an offensive catcher. I like the Indians a lot this year, and I think that this is a comeback year for them. So that's what I got in the AL Central.
So it's good. It's good that we have some differing standings here. So we agree on number 4 and 5.
Obviously.
I have the Tigers last because of they. I don't need to explain it. And then the Royals, I have 4th, and then in 3rd, your division winners, I have in 3rd place the Cleveland Indians because, I think they are really going to regret letting go of both Bauer and Kluber last year. I think their pitching depth is not the same as it was. I know. Savale looked good last year. I don't believe in Zach Plesac. I I really do not really believe in Zach Plesac. I don't think he's going to be that quality of a number 3 or 4 guy. So yeah, I have them in third. I think Clevenger and Bieber are still going to be very good. I think their lineup is, still deeper than a lot of people realize, but I still have them in third. In second place, I have the Chicago White Sox, just because their lineup is very good. I mean, they added Yasmani Grandal. They added Edwin Encarnacion.
They added Nomar
Mazara. I just really like that lineup, and especially in a shortened year. My standings would probably be different if it was over a full year, but I think younger teams are going to have more. I think younger teams are going to have more fun with this season than a more experienced team, and maybe that's an uneducated opinion, but that's just a feeling I do have. And in first place, I have the Minnesota Twins. They are going to be getting the 3rd seed in my American League playoffs. I think that Josh Donaldson pickup is going to be huge. And I think the Kenta Maeda pickup is going to be decent as well. They also have Jake Odorizzi in that staff. I think he could still be pretty quality. Jose Barrios, obviously, still a very good pitcher. And I think what a lot of people aren't talking about is kind of the three-headed monster, maybe not monster, but still a very good bullpen trio in Taylor Rogers, Trevor May, and Tyler Duffy. All of them pitched more than 55 innings and had an ERA below 3 last year, and all had a FIP below 4. So I kind of believe in that team. I think they have enough depth, and their lineup was obviously very good. I think they have enough depth to repeat as American League Central champions in 2020. So on to the National League West.
All right, so at the bottom, I have the Giants finishing 22-38. Not much explanation needed there. I'm still really unsure of Johnny Cueto if he still has it. He's been hurt a lot. I guess maybe Derek Rodriguez could be interesting. That's Pudge's son. He did really well in 2018, not so much in 2019. In fourth, I have the Rockies at 24-36. I was really high on German Marquez at the beginning of last season, and I don't look at that one too fondly in hindsight. He didn't do very well. Kyle Freeland was really bad last year. The pitching, as always, is going to be a huge question mark to go along with the really good offense. I think Trevor Story, you could argue he's the best shortstop in the league. Arenado is very good as well, obviously. Probably could be on a Hall of Fame trajectory, maybe. But that pitching is way too shaky for me to take any deep interest. In third, I have the San Diego Padres. This team I think has the most underrated bullpen in all of baseball. You could, without a doubt, make the case that their bullpen is top 5 in the league. You have Kirby Yates closing it out, probably the best closer in the league. You have Emilio Pagan, who you mentioned earlier, had an 0.44 ERA on June 2nd last year. Drew Pomeranz was throwing 97 out of nowhere. We as Red Sox fans are asking where that was when he was in Boston. And they have a couple other guys who can look very intriguing. But the Padres, their bullpen is looking good. You're getting a full season, quote unquote, of Tatis. You still have Machado. Will Myers could hopefully turn it into another gear because he's been very shaky as well. Jace Tingler is coming in as a first-year manager. I think he's going to be an interesting hire. And that's about all I got for the Padres. I'm trying to think. I don't think I missed anything. I guess Chris Paddock at the top of that rotation looks really good, but I don't see them being ready yet. Then they have the Diamondbacks, 31-29. You add Starling Marte. So Marte Parte, just like with Ketel. You add Cole Calhoun, who is one of Chris's favorite players from last year, 30 home runs with a sub-800 OPS.
Yep.
That rotation, like I mentioned earlier, you got Mad Bum, you got Robbie Ray, you got Zach Gallen, you got Luke Weaver, and I'm trying to look up who else we got here. Please hold. Who else? What are the starting pitching? Do they have? Merrill Kelly and Alex Young. Yeah, okay. So and a couple interesting guys. Archie Bradley in that bullpen, of course, not bad. And the lineup, you got our personal friend Nick Ahmed. Shout out to East Longmeadow, Mass. You got him. You have Eduardo Escobar, who hit 30 home runs last year at least. Christian Walker looked pretty interesting for the start of last season. Sneaky team with depth. Could be over 500. I don't know if it's enough to compete for a wild card, though. And, of course, you have the Dodgers. Not much of an explanation needed here. I have them at 41-19. They're going to be feeding off their division because most of the teams on there are very shaky. Walker Buehler is a legitimate ace and a Cy Young candidate for sure. Clayton Kershaw is still effective. You have that deep lineup. You have two of the 5 best players in baseball in your outfield. You have the reigning MVP in Cody Bellinger. You have Mookie Betts, obviously. Jock Peterson's looking intriguing too. You have Max Muncy. You have Justin Turner. You have Will Smith, who is a sneaky good catcher. You also added Blake Trinan to your bullpen, which I really like, especially since Kenley Jansen has sort of been on a decline. And if Blake Trinan can find a middle ground between 2018 and 2019, he is still a really, really effective reliever because he was a god in 2018. And that is my NL West.
So my National League West predictions, I'm not really with rankings 3 through 5. I don't think it'll be that much of a big deal. Though I think everyone in the division 3 through 5 is going to have a below 500 season. So in last place, I also have the San Francisco Giants. Not only are they, not only do they have like a lack of depth and, not a great lineup, but they're also a pretty old team, and they just lost Buster Posey to him leaving for the season, so that's not going to help them at all. In 4th, I have the San Diego Padres. I think they're going to regret not adding to, maybe the starting rotation or the lineup. I think, even with the bullpen, I'm not too high on the Padres this year. I mean, their starting staff, you have Chris Paddock, and you really don't have anybody else in that starting staff. You have a young lineup, but, it's a lot of potential right now. It's not really a lot of guys who are producers as of now. So I have the Padres in 4th place. And 3rd, I have the Rockies. I think some of their pitchers might have bounce back years. And of course they have, a very talented lineup and guys who could do it with the glove as well. And then in 2nd place, I have the Diamondbacks. You pretty much went through it. Very, very deep lineup. You got Carson Kelly. You have Ketel Marte, Eduardo Escobar, Nick Ahmed, Cole Calhoun, Starling Marte, and then who's the other outfielder?
David Peralta.
David Peralta. Very, very deep lineup. And then you just added Madison Bumgarner. You also have, Zach Gallen, Luke Weaver. I have no reason they should not be in 2nd place this year. And then, of course, 1st place, Los Angeles Dodgers. Probably the most, I would say the most deep team. Yeah, maybe the most deep team this year. Probably the most talented team heading into the season. I think with the Dodgers, it's just all about, it depends what Dave Roberts does with his team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And this team is the biggest lock for the playoffs.
And also, I have the Dodgers in the 1st seed in my National League National League playoffs.
All right, so now we're moving on to the AL East. To put it quite simply, I have the Orioles finishing 19-41. I don't think that comes as much as a surprise to anyone. In 4th, this team has a lot of hype, and I do think we're going to see improvement, but not enough to compete. The Toronto Blue Jays, or the Buffalo Blue Jays, or the Pittsburgh Blue Jays, or wherever they're going to be Blue Jays, I have them finishing 29-31. I think Bo Bichette has an MVP caliber season. I don't think he wins it, but I do think he is probably the biggest producer on this team. And I really like, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is another guy who I forgot to mention who
Yep.
had a very interesting, good season last year. Nate Pearson's coming up. Matt Shoemaker was really good last year before he got injured. Of course, you had Hunch and Ryu. You had Chase Anderson, who's had some pretty good moments in his career. And of course, you have Vlad Jr. You have, like I mentioned, Bo Bichette. I really like Kevin Biggio. Danny Jansen, I also think is very underrated. And you also have Teoscar Hernandez. Is he still on that team?
I think
Yeah,
so.
Rowdy Tellez.
Yeah.
Interesting lineup. I don't think it's enough to compete though. In third, I have the Boston Red Sox finishing 31-29. Pretty tough, barely over 500. This is a team that was only 7 or 8 games over 500 last year. They're not going to have their best 2 pitchers. Then their third best pitcher got COVID, and they traded their best player. So, I mean, they still have a very good lineup. Obviously, you have JD, Devers, Bogarts, possibly Benintendi if he can step up this year. And, the fact that Martin Perez is a top 3 starter in this rotation just about says everything you need to know.
Right.
I mean, Nathan Eovaldi going on opening day, Erod having COVID. I mean, this team has really no rotation depth at all. If Martin Perez, Ryan Weber is going to be in the starting rotation. Brian Johnson might be there at times, who's been very on and off. The pitching is way too much of a question mark for me. As a Red Sox fan, it does hurt. This is probably the least amount of expectations I've had for them ever. But this is the way it is right now. In second, I have the Tampa Bay Rays at 36-24. There's not this team. They traded Tommy Pham, which is really questionable. They got Hunter Renfroe. Blake Snell is not too happy about that one, as you all know. This team does have a really, this team is known for their openers and their bullpen antics, but the rotation is really, really good. You got Charlie Morton at the top of it, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow. People forget how good he was last year. Also, Ryan Yarbrough and Yanni Chirinos are really good too. Colin Poche, unfortunately, is getting Tommy John surgery. That news was learned today. I could not be any higher on Nick Anderson. Jose Alvarado, I think, is due for a bounce-back year. Same with Diego Castillo. And then their lineup. You add Renfroe to that. He's looking pretty interesting. You have Brandon Lau, who was second in AL Rookie of the Year last year. I believe Mike Zunino is their catcher. They got Jose Martinez in a trade. Austin Meadows, of course. How can you forget him? He was a really good bat for them last year. And I think that just about does it for the Tampa Bay Rays. And, of course, at number 1, you have the New York Yankees. I have them tied with the Dodgers at 41-19. Obviously, those two are the number 1 seeds in the AL and NL, respectively. This team is hungry. There's no other way to put it. You add Garrett Cole. They had a heartbreaking loss last year in the playoffs, and a heartbreaking loss the year before that, and a heartbreaking loss the year before that. This team needs it so badly. Aaron Judge, I think people forget when he's healthy, is a legitimate MVP candidate. He's probably the second best pick behind Mike Trout for MVP in the American League. You have him. Gary Sanchez, when he can catch the ball, if he can do that, that would be great. He's obviously he has a really good arm as a catcher. He can hit for power really well. You also have Gleyber Torres, who's very, he's a young talent. He's promising. You have Andujar coming back. Aaron Hicks, a really underrated bat, can hit it from both sides. Obviously, a switch hitter. Gio Urshela came out of nowhere last year. And then, of course, you got the bullpen. Aroldis Chapman closing it out is fine enough. You also have Tommy Kahnle. You have Chad Green. You have a lot of guys that have some promise in that lineup and in that bullpen and in that rotation. The rotation outside of Cole is very shaky, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. I think this team is still going to steamroll through everyone else.
So my American League East predictions, as tradition, my last place team is the same. It's the Baltimore Orioles. Not a lot of doubts about that. They're just they were terrible, and they've gotten worse because they lost Mancini, they lost Jonathan VR. It's just not going to look good for the Orioles, probably for another few years. And in fourth place, I have the Boston Red Sox. I think they're going to finish below 500 this year. They're just this is not their year at all, and I don't think they're as inspired or it's not going to look good for the Red Sox this year. And in third place, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. Pretty much for all the positive reasons you mentioned. I mean, they just have a lot of young talent. I think there's going to be some guys that I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has to improve this year. Hyunjin Ryu, as I mentioned, I think he'll be a pretty decent part of them being, probably a team that flutters around 500. Nate Pearson could be an asset for them. And I mean that's pretty much the Blue Jays. Not really anyone you didn't mention that I'm focusing
I'm kind of
on.
hogging all the guys here.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first on the rest of the divisions.
So, for second place, this is going to be a surprise. I have the New York Yankees.
Wow.
They're I'm going to have them as the second wild card team as well. Mostly because I don't have them as first wild card team, mostly because they're going to be facing the National League East. From process of elimination, you're going to know that my first wild card team is going to be from the American League West. So, and the American League West is facing the National League West, which is not a very deep division. And I'll tell you why I'm picking the Rays as my AL East division winner. I mean, they're just an insanely deep team. And what I will note is last year, the Yankees were, they were pretty good on the road, but they were significantly better at home. And it's probably a lot because of the crowd. The Tampa Bay Rays, who were not known for their crowds, they had the exact same record at home as they did on the road. And I'm not going with the Rays only because of this reason, but that plays a factor. I think it's going to be an odd year altogether. And I think the Rays they have that depth. And I think Kevin Cash is going to know how to utilize the depth that they have. They have, all these bullpen guys, Alvarado, you have Nick Anderson, a lot of different guys to go with that. And then you have one of the best rotations in baseball. You have Tyler Glass now, who was unbelievable before getting injured, and he's probably going to be very good this year. You have Charlie Morton, who finished third in the Cy Young vote, right? And then you have Blake Snell, who I think is going to have a bounce back year. And I think the Rays are going to just edge out the Yankees, and I think they're going to be the second seed in the American League East.
Gold. I mean, you mentioned this is going to be an odd year, and that could not be any more true. Like, we are going to be dead wrong on a lot of this. Like, there is going to be a team. Honestly, there could be a team that you'd think is a lock for the playoffs that just doesn't even make it. That could very much happen. And on the other end of the spectrum, there could be a team that's like, yeah, no, of course they're not making it. They could win the division. They could sneak into a wild card. All it takes is a really good start. Obviously everyone loves to mention the Nationals were 19-31 last year. They don't end up winning the World Series in a 60-game season. And I think there could be a team on the opposite end of that spectrum. There could be a random expected to be bad team that happens to sneak into a 35-win season and sneaks into a wild card. That could very easily happen. I think it's probably going to. Just we don't know what team it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm not very confident on any of these picks.
No.
Yeah, but they're fun. Predictions are probably the most fun thing you can do on
I'll let you go first on the NL Central and the rest of the divisions.
All right. So in fifth place, I have the Pirates repeating as last place National League Central team. They were bad last year, and they might have some guys that improve. Like a Trevor Williams guy, he might be able to improve, get back to his 2018 self. But I don't think they're going to be able to compete with the four teams above them. They probably wouldn't be. In most other divisions, they probably would not be a last place team, but unfortunately, they'll probably be in last place for the National League Central. In fourth place, I have the Cubbies. I have the Cubbies in fourth place. I mean, they haven't really added anybody. They lost Nick Castellanos from last year. You have, a pretty old, a decently old rotation. I don't know if I would put too much faith in, guys like Yu Darvish and John Lester. Maybe they can be good, maybe not. Kyle Hendricks should be decent, but I just don't have a lot of faith in that Cubs team. And I'm not sure I'm not sure how David Ross is going to work out. I'm really not sure. I think it's going to be a weird dynamic at the very least. And in third, I have the Brew Crew, the second wild card team from last year. I think the Brewers still have enough. They lost Grandal and Moustakas, but I think they have good management to go with the team. They also have Christian Yelich. I think their bullpen is going to be good enough to keep them afloat, probably around 500. You could go, Keston Hiura, you get a 60 game, not a 162 game season, but a full season out of Keston Hiura. Definitely something they probably wish they had more of last year. And I think they'll still float around 500. And in second place, I have the Cincinnati Reds. They're going to be my first wild card team. And a lot of people have them winning the division, which is fair, but I think their lineup is not as deep as some people may think it is. They added Moustakas and they added Castellanos, which was huge. It was huge. Very big for them. But I think their lineup to begin with wasn't amazing. They had Eugenio Suarez, who was, don't get it twisted, unbelievable last year. But, you look around the diamond, Joey Votto isn't the same as he used to be. You have Nick Senzel. Maybe he could be good, maybe not. Aristides Aquino, is he going to be?
He didn't even make the opening day roster.
He didn't. Oh, he didn't make the opening day roster. Who was it? Senzel or Aquino?
Aquino did not.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure if. I don't think they'll be a division winner. However, I do think that their pitching staff and their additions in the lineup are going to be able to get them to the playoffs. I mean, Sonny Gray, I think should be able to maintain what he did. I think Trevor Bauer should have a decent bounce back year. Luis Castillo, of course, gets swings and misses like almost no one else. And they also added Wade Miley to go with Anthony Desclafani. So having rotational depth is going to be huge this year. And I think the Reds are definitely going to take advantage of that and get their way into a wild card spot, hosting the National League wild card game. And then I have the Cardinals going back-to-back, winning the National League Central. I have them as the second seed in the National League playoffs. I think this team, what I will say is I think this pick relies on Paul Goldschmidt going back to his normal self. I think I will say if his OPS is below 880 this year, they will not win the division. But if it's above 880, I think they will win the division.
Wow.
Goldschmidt,
that's a big factor.
So Goldschmidt, I think he can be huge for this offense. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. And I think he and the pitching staff, of course you have, Jack Flaherty. I think Miles Michaelis might do a little better than he did last year. Dakota Hudson, I am a little iffy on. And Adam Wainwright, I think, should still be able to should be able to still contribute from the rotation and the bullpen. You have Andrew Miller, who was not bad at all last year. Giovanni Gallegos was a big part of that.
That's your guy. You love him.
Yeah, I mean, I love his name. It's a good name. And yeah, I think the Cardinals are just a deep enough team. Matt Carpenter should also do better. I think they're a deep enough team to repeat as division champions this year.
All right, we have some disagreements. Some big ones, in fact.
Nice.
All right, so okay, obviously I have the Pirates at 17 and 43. Not much of an argument to be made there. In fourth place, I have the Milwaukee Brewers at 31 and 29, just barely over 500. The rotation outside of Woodruff is a huge question mark. Like Jordan Lindblom, like is that your guy after that? You know, like what do they really have outside of Woodruff in that rotation? There's a bunch of question marks. You're also, you mentioned losing Grandal and Moustakis. They also lost Eric Thames last year, and they also lost Drew Pomerantz out of their bullpen. Josh Hader obviously is a very good closer. I think he's going to be rock solid just like always. But the lack of depth on this team really scares me. The fact that Orlando Arcia and Eric Sogard is the left side of their infield doesn't really sit well with me. Also, Avisail Garcia in right field, does he still have it in the tank? Obviously, I love Yelich. Kane had a down year last year, especially on offense, which really concerns me. Ryan Braun at first base, does that work? Is that a thing? Can that happen? Justin Smoke is their DH. Does he still have it? The Brewers for me are a big, like, do they still have it team? And a lot of that confides in their lack of depth. In third place, I have the St. Louis Cardinals. I have your division winners, 33 and 27. Another team where I have way too many question marks. You mentioned Dakota Hudson. He had in the second half of last season, Jordan Hicks sitting out does not obviously do them any favors. But Dakota Hudson had 4.92 walks per nine last year in the second half. That led the majors, not the National League, the majors. I'm going to need him to cut down on the walks. Also, his FIP was very bad in comparison to his ERA. Andrew Miller, he's 35 years old now. Like, does he still have it in him to be a closer? Like, can he take that extra step once again? He wasn't even a closer in Cleveland. I think the last time he was a closer was 2016 in New York, right?
Yeah.
Because was he ever closing for the Cardinals? Maybe he was, but I really don't know how much confidence I have in him today as a closer rather than as a middle reliever. Paul Goldschmidt, what was that last year? I'm going to need you to bump that up, just like Chris said. You did a good job of covering that one. Yadier Molina, I'm sorry that I don't think you're a Hall of Famer. You have a few years to prove me wrong. I really don't see it. I'm going to need more from you on offense. I'm not denying your defensive abilities as a catcher. You're one of the best of all time in that department. Offense is very questionable for me. Also, lack of wins above replacement just for a Hall of Fame case. That's a different story, though. A lot of question marks. And also the rotation outside of Flaherty. Dakota Hudson's obviously your second best, but he's going to need to cut down on those walks. How effective can Wainwright still be? Is Miles Michaelis still a thing? Like, can he still be effective? And that's my take on the St. Louis Cardinals. In second place, I have the Cincinnati Reds. I like the additions. I think that this team benefits the most from having a DH out of any team in the league, and that is because they have four outfielders, two of which very shaky on defense. If you can put Jesse Winker in left, maybe Nick Senzel in center, Shogo Akiyama in right, and then put Nick Castellanos as the DH. I think that helps them a lot. Like you mentioned, Joey Votto can obviously be questionable, but I still think he can draw his walks. Eugenio Suarez, did you mention him in your?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he almost hit 50 home runs last year. That's pretty cool. Freddie Galvis as the shortstop, I like that. And then most importantly, the rotation. I mean, Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, Trevor Bauer, Anthony Descalfani, and Wade Miley. I really like that. I think Wade Miley is a guy who went under the radar last year too. He didn't finish well, but he was doing pretty well for most of that season, especially at home. And my division winners. You had them finishing in fourth. I got the Cubbies. I have a lot of faith in them this year. I think they could be that team that has a hot start and finds themselves winning the division. I have them at 36 and 24. I didn't talk about you, Darvish, in my earlier segment because I wanted to save it for right here. In the second half, Yu Darvish led the the National League in Ks per nine with 13 in 81 and 2/3 innings pitched, 13 Ks per nine. He also led the majors in walks per nine with .77. He was one of the most effective strikeout pitchers, and he was one of the most effective in walk prevention. He was extremely effective for the Cubs in the second half of last year. Also, his FIP was, I believe, 283, which is, 283, seventh in the majors in the second half. Also, 3rd in the National League during that period of time. Yu Darvish, people forget how really good he was in the second half of last year, and I think he continues that. John Lester, obviously, you don't know how much you can really get out of him. I think if he could still be like above average, that's going to be effective. Kyle Hendricks as well, really good. Craig Kimbrell, that he's not going to do that again. There's no way he could possibly do that again. He's Craig Kimbrell. If he can control, the walks, he can still be a really, really effective pitcher. Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo are still producing. Javier Baez gets a lot of shade, but he's still really good. I think he gets a lot of media attention. I think that's why he gets a lot of hate, but he is still, make no mistake about it, Javi Baez is a very, very good player. Kyle Schwarber, like I mentioned earlier, he led the team in home runs. He had a 997 OPS. In the second half, he was one of the best NL outfield bats in the league in that second half. And David Ross is a clubhouse guy. And, obviously I have questions about the in-game managing and, if he's going to be able to, take control of guys like Baez who he played with. Like, is he going to be able to take a step up from leader instead of, just being a friend? I think he's going to be able to do it. And I really have faith in this Cubs team, and that's why I think they're going to win the NL Central.
You know what? I think you do make a good point with the Cubs. I can't change my prediction, but you know what? It's Yu Darvish. I think Yu Darvish should have a good year, probably. I looked at his savant. I looked at his savant as well, and he has good savant numbers as well. But I think also just the weirdness of the year, weird things might happen. So predictions can't be too crazy unless you have like the Orioles finishing in first. But anyway, for the American League West, we're moving on to the American League West. Sorry for the audience. Sorry if the order is a little weird. We're kind of going in levels of importance.
The most.
Yeah, the most competitive divisions probably. So we have American League West and National League East as like the AL West should be the most competitive AL, and NL East should be the most competitive NL. So for the American League West, of course, they have the Mariners in last place. They're rebuilding, and
it'd be perfect if this is the year where the Mariners break their playoff curse.
I mean, that would be
perfect. I'm just saying they were 13-2 last season.
That is true. If they can just triple that, if they can just do that for like triple the amount of time.
I'm just saying, after a quarter of the season, they were on pace to go 52-8.
Yeah. So the Mariners, I have them in last place.
Yeah, I do too.
But of course, who knows? Don't count them out.
I'd love to see them make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it would make a lot of sense. But in fourth place, I have the Los Angeles Angels. The pitching staff still definitely scares me. They added Anthony Rendon, but it's still not the deepest lineup. They have two extremely talented guys, and then there's a bit of a drop off. I guess you have David Fletcher. Andrelton Simmons is cool. In the
Justin
field.
Upton.
Justin Upton, he's had some down years. Maybe he could turn it up, but I still have them in fourth place, above the Mariners, though. And in third place, I have the Rangers. This is so far, it's exactly how it went last year. Rangers in third, Angels in fourth, Mariners in fifth. Yeah, Rangers, how can you not like what they did with their pitching staff in the offseason? They got Corey Kluber, they got Kyle Gibson, and they also got Jordan Lyles. And, I don't expect them to do anything crazy this year, but I do expect them to be better than the Angels and Mariners. In second place, I have the Oakland Athletics, once again in second place in the AL West, but they will be hosting the wild card game in my playoffs, mostly because they are facing the National League West. So them and the Astros are going to, have a lot of fun, especially with the Rockies, Giants, and Padres. The Athletics, how can you not like them? They have some of the most talented players in the league: Chapman, Olsen, Simeon. They got Ramon Laureano, who's developing. They've got young guys coming up for the Oakland, for the pitching staff. They got AJ Puck coming up. They got Jesus Lazaro. They've got Mike Fiers. They've got Frankie Montas, full year of Frankie Montas. How can you not like them? But I do not have them overtaking the Astros in the American League West because, Astros, I have them winning the American League West, and I have them as my first seed. They have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. They definitely screwed up 2017, 2019. There's definitely some theories out there. Although it is funny because I am rewatching some of the 2019 playoffs, and it is weird how bad they were at home in the World Series on offense.
Yeah.
So maybe there wasn't anything going on in 2019. How crazy would that be? But I think the Astros, they still have an unbelievably talented roster. You don't have to go through all of them, but Alex Bregman, George Springer, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, Yuli Gurriel, even Josh Reddick isn't bad.
Jordan Alvarez.
You get a full season of Jordan Alvarez. You got Justin Verlander, the defending American League Cy Young winner. You have Zach Greinke, who had a 2.93 ERA last year. You have Lance McCullers coming back. You have a full year of Jose Urquidy.
Well, he's on the IL. He's hurt.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You have a solid bullpen. You've got a solid bullpen, and you lost Will Harris. Do they still have Joe Smith?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and they got Roberto Osuna closing it out. Yeah, the Astros are going to win. I believe the Astros are going to win the AL West, and I believe they're going to be the first seed in the American League. In the American League.
All right, fair enough. Yes, Joe Smith is in fact still on the Astros. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so we agree mostly everywhere in this division. I have the Mariners going 26-34. I think they have some interesting youth, particularly with Jared Kelenic if he ends up coming up this year. Also, Kyle Lewis and Evan White are some guys that you could take a look at just for the sake of hopeful young Mariners. The pitching staff, Marco Gonzalez is your ace. That doesn't really do it for me. The bullpen is also very shaky. Not much to say there. Maybe Mitch Haniger can have a bounce back year. I think that's maybe something you could hope for. In fourth, I have the Texas Rangers. I think they do have a really good starting rotation. Of course, I love the Kluber trade. I think they fleeced the Indians in that one. You got Kluber, Mike Minor, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and Jordan Lyles as your rotation. The bullpen for me, though, really shaky. Jose Leclerc is your closer. And building the bridge to that is Rafael Montero and Jesse Chavez or something like that. Really, I don't know if that does it for me. Also, the lineup does not Todd Frazier is still your starting third baseman. How old is he? He's in his upper 30s. Ruben Odor has a good OPS, but I still have a lot of questions regarding him. Ronald Guzman is your first baseman. Elvis Andrews, who's getting up there in age at shortstop. Willie Calhoun is the guy I think needs to take a step up this year, though. He was a big-name prospect. They traded Yu Darvish to get him. Obviously, I love Joey Gallo. He's by far the best bat in this lineup and the most well-known player on this team. Also, Sin-Shu Chu is interesting, but he's not getting any younger, so I'm not sure what to think of him there. I have the Rangers at 28-32. In third, I have the Los Angeles Angels. You have Mike Trout, best player in the game. You have Anthony Rendon, really good all-around player. you have Shohei Ohtani, the two-way player. He's going to be pitching again this year, and he's probably their best pitcher. Also, Andrew Heaney is very good too, so definitely watch for him. Also, Griffin Canning is a guy who they can be hopeful is taking a step up. Same with Patrick Sandoval. The pitching is still a lot of a big question mark. The bullpen isn't too bad. Hansel Robles is their closer, and he got a lot better after leaving the Mets. So that's just about it with the Angels. You also have Simmons, Albert Pujols, Justin Upton, David Fletcher, Brian Goodwin. It's nothing to, it'd be cool to see them get to the playoffs, but that pitching is way too much of a question mark, especially if they can't stay healthy. And finishing second is the Oakland A's at 35-25. I have them at. You have Matt Chapman, you have Matt Olson, you have Mark Canha, Ramon Laureano. This is a very talented team, and I have them. Making it to the playoffs. So I am interested to see what can happen there. But the Astros, I have one game better at 36-24. Listen, Alex Bregman, I'm just going to go through this lineup here. Alex Bregman was the number 2 overall pick when he was drafted, and he was a top 5 player in baseball when he came up. He is really, really good at hitting baseballs without knowing what pitch is coming. Carlos Correa was the number 1 overall pick in 2012. He was also the number 3 prospect when he came up in 2015. He is also really, really good at hitting baseballs without knowing what pitch is coming. George Springer, I believe, was George Springer a first-round pick? Is that true?
Out of University of Connecticut.
That's
yes.
right, George Springer. He was a first-round pick. He's also pretty good at baseball without knowing what pitch. 11th overall. Jose Altuve, he won a batting title in 2014. My point is, all these guys are really, really good without knowing what pitch is coming. As much as we all want to see them lose and crumble this year, I get it. I do. It's not going to happen. The Astros are still going to win this division.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they will win the division, but we both believe that this will happen. And for the wrong reasons, they definitely have a chip on their shoulder, and they're probably gonna. It's them against the world.
Yep.
So expect them to come out of the gates hot. I mean, with or without knowing, they still developed one of the greatest farm systems ever. And, pitching wise, there was no, from what we know of, there was no stuff going on over there.
Exactly.
So yeah, and I don't think much will change with that, but there will be a slight change, but not as much as there was. So now the National League East, probably the most interesting division.
Yeah.
So in fifth place, in last place will be the Miami Marlins.
No way. I'm kidding.
Bold prediction. The Marlins are going to finish in last place in the National League East. I mean, everyone is saying they're going to win the division, but I think they'll be fifth.
I don't see it.
But for some reason, I just don't have faith in Lewis Brinson to have an MVP type season like everyone's saying
He needs to get above that Mendoza line, man.
Yeah,
I'm jealous for him.
Yeah, I just don't think that Starlin Castro is going to be.
He's gone. He's in Washington.
Oh, he's not even. Oh, yeah, he was the face of Miami for 2 years because
him and Martin Prado when he retired.
Yeah, yeah. The Marlins are going to be in last place. In fourth place, unfortunately, because I do secretly kind of root for this team. In fourth place, I have the Mets. I think losing Syndergaard for the year is going to be tough, and their lineup isn't great. I mean, they have Pete Alonso and of course J.D. Davis, like we mentioned earlier. There's I guess Brandon Nimmo, you could say, but that not a lot of depth in the lineup, and of course they lost Zach Wheeler as well. Edwin Diaz, he might be able to improve, but I don't think they'll be able to get over the Nationals, Phillies, and Braves. They were better than the Phillies last year, but I don't think that will be the case in 2020. In third place, I have the defending champion Washington Nationals. I don't know. I just don't think that the stars will align for the Washington Nationals. They'll probably be above 500, but I just don't see. And for the reasons, I think, Anthony Rendon, losing him is probably going to be pretty big. Of course, you'll lose guys to free agency, but he was the third best player in the National League last year, according to the MVP vote, and I think that'll hurt them. Their lineup depth, outside of Juan Soto and maybe Trey Turner, it's not great. I mean, they do have, Howie Kendrick was pretty good last year. Whether he repeats his success from last year to this year is a question. I'm trying to think of, Victor Robles might have a better year, but I think they will finish in third place. In second place, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. They will be my second wild card team. They will be facing the Reds.
Wow.
In the wild card game. I think the Phillies, the same way that they've come out of the gates in 2018 and 2019, they should be able to do it this year. They don't have the most depth, but I think, this is more of a feeling one. I think they'll be able to get into the playoffs. They have a very deep lineup. Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Gene Segura. Who else you got? You got JT Real Muto, one of the best catchers in baseball. You have plenty of guys on that Phillies squad. And then, of course, you added Zach Wheeler. And, Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler might be able to do some damage. Their starting rotation depth is still a question mark. You do have Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, but I don't know if you can rely on guys like Zach Eflin or Jake Arrieta, guys like that. And their bullpen, you could have questions on the bullpen as well, but this is more of a feeling one. I feel like they will get into that second wild card spot. Oh, another lineup guy, Andrew McCutchen, I think I forgot to mention. And then winning the National League East for me, I have the Atlanta Braves. They will be my third seed in the National League playoffs. I think they've got a very deep team. You've got Dansby Swanson, Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna Jr. And I know that losing Josh Donaldson might be a problem, but also I think Cole Hamels, signing Cole Hamels might be able to get them in a decent position. I mean, I did look at his Savant page and it wasn't great, but I think Cole Hamels, having him in there might be important. Mike Soroka, maybe, he might be able to repeat the same successes he did last year. And the Mike Foltynewicz will have a bounce back year for sure. So I have the Atlanta Braves winning the National League East. What do you got?
All right, so I got the Marlins winning out on the Coomer Rocker sweepstakes, the number 1 overall pick. They will be finishing 15-45.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have the Marlins doing that. In fourth, I got the Philadelphia Girardis. I like the hire. I think this team is more fit for an old school type of manager and coaching staff, and they were with Gabe Kapler. But I still have way too many questions about that pitching staff. Obviously, I like Zach Wheeler a lot, and I like Nola too, but Arrieta's over the hill, and I just don't know how to feel about guys like Zach Eflin and Vince Velasquez. Their bullpen, I don't like that Hector Neris is still closing games. Sir Anthony Dominguez as well. I don't think that's going to be enough. And the lineup, I think Bryce Harper gets a lot of hate, way more than he should. I think he's definitely going to be the best player on this team as far as offense goes. Segura, I really don't know if he's still got much in the tank. Kutch, I think, is going to be decent. You got Real Muto, obviously, who's good. Other than that, I really don't know how I feel about this team with this pitching staff. In third place, I have the defending champion Nationals at 31-29. Obviously, I love that rotation a lot. I think the bullpen is going to see some regression, though. I think, people forget how bad the bullpen was for the Nationals before the trade deadline. I think Daniel Hudson, as well as good as he was from the last year, I do think he regresses. Doolittle, I think, will still be fine, but Daniel Hudson, Tanner Rainey, Wander Suero, I don't know how much you can rely on guys like that going forward. Also, losing Rendon hurts a lot. I think Carter Kieboom is gonna have a bit of a difficult time up there. And that's not to say that that's going to stay that way. I think just because it's his rookie year, I think he's going to have some growing pains this year. Soto, I think, takes another step forward, if that's even possible. I do like him a lot, obviously. But, Howie Kendrick is aging. Adam Eaton is aging. Some other guys are question marks. I think Victor Robles has a lot of potential, like you mentioned, obviously. Eric Thames is on that team. He's also aging. And that's why I think the Nationals are going to hover around 500. In seconds, I have the New York Mets. You obviously have DeGrom. You have Stroman. I like both of those guys a lot. Rick Porcello, he has had a rough time with the home run ball, but I think that's going to translate a lot better in Citi Field than it does at Fenway Park. Same thing with Michael Wacha. And, that rotation can be interesting as well. And in the lineup, you have Pete Alonso. You have Jeff McNeil. I really like J.D. Davis. I couldn't be higher on him. I think Ahmed Rosario takes a step forward this year. And that's about it for the lineup. I'm trying to think. Oh, Michael Conforto, obviously. I think he was very underrated last season. He did very well. Brandon Nimmo, he's a good on-base guy. So that's that. And in the bullpen, I think Edwin Diaz is going to do a lot better this year. His issue, obviously, last year was not being able to hold a lead. I think he's going to be better at that. I think it's a big first year in a big market can always give some trouble to some people, especially when they come from places like Seattle. Seth Lugo is very good. Dylan Betances is very good. And I think the Mets are going to, and I love the Luis Rojas hire. I think he's going to be a great first-year manager. All the players have given him nothing but a lot of praise, and I think he's going to be very good. And winning this division will be the Atlanta Braves. They are losing Josh Donaldson, but they gain Marcelo Zuna. They lose Nick Markakis, but they might have Yasiel Puig. Who knows? I don't know. They were going to sign him, but then he got COVID. I like the rotation. I think they did a good job addressing that bullpen, getting Will Smith last year. Shane Green, I think, is going to have a very good year as well. Luke Jackson, I think, could take a step forward. And obviously you have Freddie Freeman, you have Ronald Acuna, you have Ozzie Albies, really good young core. Dansby Swanson, I think, desperately needs to take a step up. We've been saying it for years now. And I really hope that maybe a 60-game shortened season can be the cause for that. And I got the Atlanta Braves winning the division just like you do.
Oh, and one Braves guy I forgot to mention, and I don't know if you mentioned him, they added Will Smith.
I just did.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I forget one of the reasons that I have them over the Nationals and Phillies is, I think Will Smith is going to be a bigger acquisition than people realize. But yeah,
that's him.
Good on you. I couldn't care to remember him, but anyway. But yeah, there's the full standings predictions for you. We went through all the teams, going round and round on all the teams. And now, before we get into where those teams will finish in terms of the playoffs, we're going to get into our award predictions because, of course, those are voted on. I know they're announced after the season, but they're voted on before the postseason even starts. So we're going to start off with the American League Rookie of the Year. Who do you think is going to be the American League Rookie of the Year?
I did not get very edgy on any of these Rookie of the Year picks. I always try to do that once a year, but this year with the service time manipulation, it's a big question. So for the American League Rookie of the Year, I'm going with the one guy who I know at this point is making the opening day roster, and that's Luis Robert from the Chicago White Sox.
For me, I went with a guy who's probably not going to be on the opening day roster and someone you shouted out. I'm going to go with Nate Pearson.
All right.
I think his stuff for a pitcher is probably going to translate best in the major leagues out of.
I very much want to pick him, but how much can you really do if you're only, if let's say he gets called up after 10 games, he's probably going to make like 5 starts.
Yeah, no one's really sure on
Yeah, it's a big
most
question
of
mark.
these
For NL Rookie of the Year, I went with there's no one that I know for sure is going to be on the opening day roster, and I know that this guy is not going to be on the opening day roster, but I went with the safe pick and went with Gavin Lux of the Dodgers.
So my National League Rookie of the Year, I don't know if this guy's going to be on the opening day roster either, but I guess it's a differentiation from Gavin Lux. I went with Sixto Sanchez.
Yeah, all right.
Let's see if this guy might be able to
So you're going with pitching here.
make some noise in the major leagues. Yeah, I got two rookies winning Rookie of the Year, which
Two
kind of
rookies
goes
winning
against
Rookie of the
name.
Year. That's exactly what you just said.
What?
You just said you got 2 rookies winning Rookie of the Year.
I do.
Yeah.
Is that bold?
It's a bold prediction.
I got 2.
Usually I go with a 36-year-old veteran, but I you're really putting that out there.
Yeah, last year my pick for Rookie of the Year was actually Howie Kendrick.
Interesting pick.
But yeah, now on to American League Manager of the Year.
All right, do you want me to go in first?
Sure.
All right, I have this guy managing the best team in the AL by record. He hasn't won one yet, so that's good for the way the writers judge this. I'm going with Aaron Boone.
Nice. I'm going with someone who I believe is going to beat out the Yankees in the
Kevin
American
Cash.
League. I'm going with Kevin Cash.
Yep, I
Because,
think you can't not there.
Because, if he does in fact beat out the Yankees, like I predict, he definitely earns Manager of the Year, and I think he does a good job with what he has. So,
All right.
anyway, yeah.
So for National League Manager of the Year, I have this team winning the division. I have this guy in his first year taking this team to the playoffs with somewhat low expectations, and that is David Ross of the Cubs.
I have another team that's improving from last year, and a team that will make the playoffs this year that didn't make it last year. I'm going with Joe Girardi.
Okay.
I think he'll get a good hold of the Phillies, and them making the wild card will help his case out.
All right. So now we're moving on to Cy Youngs. My guy for American League Cy Young is a bit of a dark horse pick. I think people forget how good he was last year in a short sample, and that is Tyler Glasnow.
Yes, Tyler Glasnow is definitely, like, if you're betting on Cy Young, go with Tyler Glasnow because he was excellent. This guy, the guy I'm going with for American League Cy Young, also had a shortened season. He was more in the late half. I'm going with the guy who will not be in the playoffs, but I'm going with Mike Clevinger. I think Mike Clevinger is
Clev.
I think he will win. He has the strikeout numbers, and I think he can prevent runs enough to win that American League Cy Young this year.
So for my NL Rookie of the Year, Cy Young. Yeah, I have a pitcher winning Cy Young this time actually.
Nice.
This is a guy that does not get a lot of. He just signed a big deal, and he's not even the best pitcher in his own rotation. It is Steven Strasburg.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny because I am also going with the National. I believe Max Scherzer is going to join Roger Clemens, Greg Maddux, Randy Johnson, and Steve Carlton as the only men to have 4 Cy Youngs. I believe Max Scherzer gets his 4th this year.
Okay. Speaking of guys getting their 4th, my AL MVP is Mike Trout.
My American League MVP is also from the American League West. I believe this guy will do it. I think in a 60-game season, he'll just pull it out. Matt Chapman.
Wow. Chris has gone from the top rope and went with Matt Chapman.
I like his numbers. I went to his Savant page. I like his Savant numbers, and he probably won't lead in like OPS, but I think he'll lead in wins above replacement, and he'll get those first place votes.
All right, my National League MVP. If this guy wins, he will be the youngest player in Major League history to ever record a Most Valuable Player award. It is another national. It is Juan Soto.
Juan Soto.
Mhm.
Very, very cool. You're going with two guys who didn't make the postseason.
That's right. That's right.
winning the MVP.
I think Juan Soto and Steven Strasburg both carry, but I really like the Mets. I think the Mets and Braves are both all around better teams.
Right, right. For my National League MVP, I think this guy usually gets out to very hot starts. He's maybe gone a little bit cold for him. I'm going with Bryce Harper.
Yes, I thought about him too.
For my
I,
National
I really hope he does. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you look back, 2015 obviously is the big example, but
That will never happen again for
he
him.
had
Didn't he have 198 weighted runs created plus that year?
definitely 198 OPS plus.
Yeah.
I know the reference page, but
Mhm.
also 2017 he had a very good start to that season until he got injured, and even 2018 he had a very good start, but it didn't finish. And I think him not, I don't think he's under a lot of pressure, and I think the crowd not being there, not adding any pressure. I think him just being able to go out there and hit baseballs. I think he's going to win that MVP this year.
All right.
And I think, hey, you know what? I said with the over under 200 weighted runs created plus, I think Bryce Harper's that guy.
All right. Perfect.
Over 200 weighted runs created plus.
So now the last thing we have is our playoff predictions. Chris, you want to start?
Yeah. So in the wild card, I have the A's hosting the New York Yankees. Believe it or not, 2018 rematch, except in the Coliseum.
Mhm.
However, I do believe the Yankees are going to win in this wild card matchup. It'll probably be Garrett Cole starting, and I don't really believe in whatever the A's have for pitching in a single game, and I think they'll lose their third consecutive wild card game, and that'll be tough. And then in the National League, I have the Reds hosting the Philadelphia Phillies, and I believe the Reds will, in fact, win that game against the Phillies. And so now the Yankees are going to be facing the Astros, and the Reds are going to be facing the Dodgers.
All right. So I have the A's and the Twins in a game 61.
Oh, okay.
And I have the A's winning that game, but then they will lose the wild card to the Tampa Bay Rays once again, this time in the Trop.
Oh.
So it'll be a rematch from last year. And then in the National League, I have the Mets facing the Reds. I have them with the same. How are they gonna do playoff tiebreakers? Because the Mets and Reds are obviously not gonna face each other. I have both of them with 34 wins.
I don't.
Maybe like
I have no.
Scored probably. Maybe run differential.
Yeah, I was thinking there's probably going to be game 61s as well, but I just went with who's going to be the final teams.
Yep, no, that makes sense. So I have the Mets beating the Reds, regardless of where it is. I think the drama in a one-game playoff is pretty good. So just to review, my division series matchups are Dodgers versus Mets, Cubs versus Braves, Yankees versus Rays, and Indians versus Astros.
Yep. So in my American League Division Series, we have the Yankees versus the Astros and the Rays versus the Twins. So the Astros will be hosting the Yankees. The Yankees finally have the opportunity to get revenge over the team that they lost to in the ALCS twice.
And the wild card once.
And the wild card in 2015, but they're probably more focused on 2017 for sure. And I think the Yankees are going to pull it out of them, and I think they're going to win against the Astros in the American League Division Series. And then in the other American League Series, I have the Rays will be hosting the Twins, and I believe the Rays are going to beat the Twins with that great pitching staff. I think that'll neutralize the Twins. And then my National League Division Series are Dodgers versus Reds. where the Dodgers are hosting for most of that, and the Cardinals versus Braves once again. This time the Cardinals are going to be hosting. I have the Dodgers beating the Reds, and I have the Cardinals once again beating the Braves.
Okay, so I got the Dodgers versus the Mets. The Dodgers are going to pull that one out. I have the Braves Cubs. I think the Braves pull that one out. So we got a Dodgers Braves NLCS. And then here's my edgy pick. I got the Rays over the Yankees in the division series. Yep,
Yeah.
I got that. And then I got the Indians taking revenge on the Astros. So we got a Rays Indians ALCS.
2020, going to be an interesting year.
Yeah.
So in my American League Championship Series, I have the Tampa Bay Rays against the Yankees, where the Rays will be hosting most of that. And I have the Dodgers versus the Cardinals, which is a 2013
And 14.
2013 League Championship Series,
Yeah.
2014 League Division Series. And, you know, initially I was thinking Yankees, but then I realized the Rays at home against the Yankees. So the Yankees overall against the Rays last year were 12-7. However, the Yankees were 4-5 against the Rays when they were at Tropicana. So I think the home field advantage helped them out a little bit, and some of that home field advantage is taken away when they don't have the crowd. And I think the Rays, and I didn't put games down, but I think the Rays are going to beat the Yankees in a 7-game series in the American League Championship Series. And the Rays will be the representative in the World Series. It's going to be a weird year. And then in the Championship Series, I think the Dodgers are going to have an easy time beating the Cardinals in the National League Championship Series. So it's Rays versus Dodgers in the World Series.
All right. So just to review, I have Dodgers Braves in the NLCS, Rays Indians in the Dodgers Braves NLCS, Rays Indians ALCS. And Chris, we have the same World Series. Dodgers Rays.
Dodgers.
This is the year of Tampa Bay.
So in my World Series, I don't trust Dave Roberts, and I think how appropriate in 2020 if something crazy happened and the Tampa Bay Rays, with no crowd, per usual, winning the World Series against the Dodgers.
Wow. I have the Dodgers getting the advantage of the Rays. I mean, how can Dave Roberts mess up with Bellinger and Betts on the same team?
I mean, I don't know. Like,
you could find a way, I guess. But I feel like maybe this time he's learned from his past mistakes. I got the Dodgers winning the World Series finally, and this is the year that they have to do it. This team, the Dodgers are World Series or bust above any other team. Like, there are other teams that have that claim, but it is the Dodgers absolutely.
Yeah, it's always with Dave Roberts. It's always the pitching staff. Like, he just mismanages it. You know, putting Ryan Madsen out there 3 consecutive games in the World Series and throwing Kershaw out there too much. I just don't trust him enough. And I think it's going to be a weird year. And I have the Rays winning the World Series.
All right. I love it.
How fun. Well, there it is. Our complete preview. 2020 season preview.
That's right.
There it is. So that's the end of the show. I have the Rays beating the Dodgers in the World Series. Daniel has the Dodgers beating the Rays in the World Series. Glad to see we have some similar predictions and some not similar predictions. So if you enjoyed the show, we didn't watch any videos on YouTube, but if you want the visual, we are on YouTube. Subscribe, STBNL with Christianta and Daniel Curran. Also, if you want to follow us on Twitter, follow me at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel at Daniel_Curran. Follow our Instagram at STBNL Podcast, where we have videos, some pictures, some stats. I think I'll still have some of those stat graphics of our history
Yes,
guys
definitely.
throughout the season, just randomly, because it's Instagram. You can really just do whatever you want.
Mhm. We would like to thank Fangraphs and Baseball Reference for their help, as always, as well.
Baseball Savant as well.
Yep.
That was big time.
Hmm.
Yep. No Society of American Baseball Research this time. This is not a history episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would like to thank you for listening to our 2020
Baseball.
season preview, and we look forward to seeing you. Program announcement: we're going to be doing Mondays and Thursdays/Fridays. We'll see. We'll see about the middle of the week, but definitely Mondays. We're going to record on Sunday nights, recap the weekend in baseball, preview the next week in baseball. So we'll see you on Monday, where we're going to be talking about actual baseball that happened, like
Live baseball, like real Major League Baseball, like games that count.
games that are happening, like in 2020.
Yes.
Not the 1897 Louisville Colonels. Not the 1911 Cleveland Naps. We're talking about 2020 stuff. Insane. Yeah. So we will see you on Monday. See you then. Hello, everyone. We are here to just tell you that originally we planned on this being just one episode. So after our 2020 players to look for all 30 teams, it's just going to end. I'll probably just fade it out with something. I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be a two-parter, so don't be worried if it ends kind of abruptly. So hope to see you on Friday. Yeah, the episode is going to come out Thursday. Thursday is when the second part of the episode is going to come out. So see ya. Enjoy the episode.